dealing with religion, finance, health, business opportunities, including international and multicultural talk and music. The following is an independently produced program. The views and claims dictated by the host and guests of the program are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or its advertisers. For sponsorship, music promotion, and business ads, call management at 347-699-6892.
This message is critical to your personal growth in 2019. 718-253-7273. That again, 718-253-7273. Jot this number down in your phone, your iPad. Store it on your computer, on a notepad, in a place where you can find it quickly, because at some point you will need it. It's the number for the most popular and most useful reader and advisor in our area. The world-famous African reader and advisor, Sister Duval.
That's right. I am Sister Duval, here to help you. What do you want in 2019? More money? Success in your career job? Maybe you need a better job. How about reuniting with a loved one? If you've been plagued by illness, bad luck, lack, or heartache, it is time for a change. Don't give up. I'm the African Reader Advisor dedicated to making a difference in an imperfect world. Call me now for one free question by phone, 718-253-7273, and come see me at 1752 Flatbush Avenue, right at the corner of Avenue J in Brooklyn. And let's make 2019 one of the best years of your life.
Make your life a masterpiece. Imagine no limitations to what you can see, what you can be, what you can have, or what you can do. Call Sister Duval now.
Hey, we live. Welcome to KeyKey's Doorway as we enter towards the Akashi records of our reality. I told you guys I have a new treat for you. So yes, I'm going to be playing some music. But before I play the music, La Musica, there's something that does matter, not just to me, but I feel universally. And one thing that comes to mind is self-love. When it comes to self-love, for one, how do we know? How do we know when we're giving ourselves self-love? A lot of times, this has been on my mind for some time, actually, since the time I started in January, I believe it was February of 2019, so this year. And stepping on this platform with you guys was something serene to me, and it still is. And it's led me to this question that I question myself many times over. Do we give ourselves self-love? And if we had to define it, what is it? And how can we synchronize ourselves to that love? A lot of times, for one, let me get my book out, because you know I like to do my homework. For everybody that know me as Miss K, they're like, Miss K, you do your homework? Yes, I do my homework. Got it? Thank you. You can hear me? Yeah. Woo. Oh, I don't want the phallus to stick. Yeah, I told you I do my homework, right? So, defining first what is self-love, because like anything in this world, as people, we want to know what is it. So I, did a Google search, and it came in as a noun. It says to regard for one's own well-being and happiness, chiefly considered as a desirable rather than a narcissistic character. So when we say, oh, I love myself, why is it that our first reaction is it selfish to self-love yourself? If we took the self out of the equation of that word, what still remains is the word love. Another word that comes to mind that is a four-letter word is, well, can still love but self. You know, it has the equal, SELF. So I think it's my energy. But what do you guys think when it comes to self-love? What does it mean to physically practice that? And why in our society that is not, we don't really see it, or when we see it, it's the reaction of, oh, this person or this is selfish. It's not selfish. How can I love another person if I don't love myself? That's one thing we hear a lot of times. Oh, in order for me to love you, I gotta love myself. But what does that physically look like? What does that mentally look like? What does that emotionally look like? What does that spiritually look like? Even at times, what does it look like financially when you love yourself? And that is okay. So, if I would like to hear y'all's, you all, you can tell I'm from the South, North Carolina too. Yes, I'm from here. But got people from North Carolina, Florida, Indianapolis, Arizona. I got, we know how us nomadic, we all started as nomadic people. We travel. And as we travel, the translation of what love is hasn't left, but hasn't been lifted up to look at. So I would like to hear from you guys. What do you think self-love is? Because what self-love is to me, for example, self-love to me would be taking care of my body, taking care of my child, taking care of my profession, taking care of my finances, taking care of my family, my friends. That and so much, and the creator outside of me and inside of me. That's what I love giving myself towards when I love. How do I show that physically? Y'all see me, guys. Do not think for 1 second that dancing is my specialty. It ain't. Singing is. For people that know me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, outside in the world, they will tell you, nah, Kiana, she be singing. She don't be she don't dance. So y'all get to see an element of me that some people did not see. And now that I'm showing that, they're like, well, where did you get this from? And it was from you guys, like learning how to physically love myself through different ways of expression. So, call 718-253-4239. 718-253-4239. If you can't call to give a shout out or to conversate about this, I know everybody's at work. I'm at work right now. You don't feel like it. But, text it. Go to King and Queen Radio on YouTube and leave a comment, a chat. Let me know what you define as self-love to you, because all of us are not just complex creatures, but we're conscious creatures. We're conscious beings. And as a collective, it's good to hear different concepts of what self-love really is. So that way, we can navigate on that newness of being. Or to recognize that we already given ourselves that self-love, is then now seeing how others relate to that as well. Does that make sense to you guys? I hope it does. So, definitely call 718-253-4239. 718-253-4239. To express what do you feel and know self-love is to you, and how has self-love shown you the way of not only who you are as a self, but how that relates to people that you do love in your atmosphere, in your life. Or definitely chat, because I know we gotta, be at work, so Chat it away. Text it away. All right. So let's get it. Let me see. Maybe I got my crystals out. Oh, for example, I like crystals. Crystals, I didn't like them at first. My brother put me onto it when we were little. He used to love collecting mineral rocks and rocks in general. And I would look at him like, boy, you silly. And then he explained to me the significance of rocks and how rocks are also crystals and how crystals are our first charger. Before we didn't even have the sun to charge us, we had rocks to reflect, to use as minerals. Even our body is made of minerals. That's why we had the sign. You know, when you was in science class, you had that science chart. You know, the zinc and the helium and neutrons and electrons. You're like, what is this? Now everything makes sense now that I'm older. But I'm happy that I was taught, just like you guys, different things. So that was one concept. I now collect crystals. So I'm giving my shout out to my brother. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Ra. Thank you. Well, that's his nickname. That ain't his real name. I don't know if he wants me to give out his real name. But yeah, it starts with an R, I can tell you that. But yeah. And that showed me, actually took me to have a selenite crystal shaped as a heart, and that was one of the crystals that I was connected to. I didn't realize that the selenite crystal happened to be a part of my zodiac sign as a Taurus. So even rocks connect to people, and people connect to not just people, but places and things. So definitely let me know what is self-love to you and how do you show your self-love. All right, so let's get to the music. All right. I see the retrograde is still messing with me. This messing with me. Okay. So, until I figure out what's up with the volume, because this is new. This hasn't happened before. Where now, even when I play certain things, the volume is not going up. So, I guess it's made to talk for now. I hope y'all guys are down. Y'all should be on y'all lunch break anyway. So, where can I begin? Let me see. Okay. So, what got me on this quest, I might as well tell about my business, right? I can't ask y'all to share yourselves, and I can't share myself, right? So, to get myself comfortable. So, y'all can see me? Hey. All right. Okay. Self-love. Well, for me, what is self-love? I defined it based on the areas of which I would love to express it. How has it started me on this journey? One, I could say since the age of 5, honestly. 5 years old is where, for one, I was taught as a young girl to love yourself and to show it and express it. And it was very hard for me to show that side of who I am, because it meant that for me, I had to step out of myself on a physical way and express that. So, for example, like I was saying earlier, a lot of people know me as a person that loves singing, love performing in front of people. And it wasn't just on to show off. I guess that's where the selfishness comes, right? It wasn't to show off. It was to find a way to relate to others, because I'm an introvert. I like to keep to myself. I'm not a person that likes to talk. I like to listen. A lot of people be like, yeah, okay. They know me now as a talker, but again, I had to grow into that. So, but yeah, 5 years old, singing was a way to show who I am. Mainly for 2 reasons: not just to connect to others, but mainly because at 5, reading was really hard for me. Reading in general was really hard for me. Math, I had no problems with. 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4. I get, especially using objects around to find those answers, right? But when asked to read, I would try to sit in the back, or find a way to distract the teacher from having me, come up. And there's always where they had to come up to the front of the class, or like, even if you didn't have to come up to the front of the class, when it was your time to read, it's like everybody stop just to listen. You were like, wait a minute, why do you want to listen to me? Do what y'all was doing, act like I ain't here anyway. So that's how I felt. But what made me feel really nervous was, again, my voice. Like, it's different when you're reading to yourself. You have your own rhythm, you have your own beat to how you're reading. Yet when you read outside of yourself, it's like being reintroduced to who you are. In a way, it's like noticing that your voice does matter and is relevant to others. And to say that I could not read, it was very hard. Like connecting vowels and syllables and all those things, those concepts together was challenging. And so at a young age, I had to move from school to school, or go to school to find a place that made me feel, or for me, finding a place that made me feel comfortable to make mistakes when it came to reading, and then find a way to read. I did, and it before going to school, it came in two ways. The first way came through my cousin. He's in heaven now, so I can mention his name, Rodney. And he was into comic books and illustration and drawing and finding a way to put pictures to words. And I always thought he was really cool. To this day, I still think he's cool. And this before I even knew who was Marvel and DC. Yeah, for all you guys that know about Marvel and DC, y'all could put me on. I was like, I don't know, what is this? I just knew that he put a book in front of me, and it didn't look, first of all, it didn't look like a regular book. It had pictures and like big words, and I was like, ooh, what is that? You know, the colors got to me. And I picked up a book, well, a comic book. It still has the word book. I didn't even realize that now. You see how that is, right? So I got a comic book, and I guess the first comic book that I picked up, because there was so many he had, I mean, old school comic books, like some of the names I can't remember, but I remember picking up this comic and it had the X symbol on it. And I was just like, okay, I like that. It's that, you know, that made me think of the numerology, you know, or number. I believe it was 10. I'm not quite sure, but I gotta go back to that. But seeing the letter X, but to me that made me think of the number. I guess that's probably why I picked it up compared to every other comic book he had, is because the number. So I was like, okay, I like numbers. Let me get to that comic book that has the number. And as I was reading about these characters, I'm like, wow, they sound so similar to people like myself and others. And I wanted to know beyond just the pictures what they were really saying. So I went back to what schools, public schools, taught me about connecting letters to make a sound, two letters to make a sound. And that's how I started. And I was like, ooh, I'm starting to like reading now. And the more I started trying to find the words, or the right words, I would ask my cousin, like, cousin, what's this mean? What that mean? What that mean? He's like, girl, here's a book. I said, you know I don't like books. He said, okay, I'm going to give you a book that has pictures in it. But we call it a thesaurus, though, and a dictionary. You know that Webster dictionary, that big old encyclopedia? Everybody know. Or if you don't know, Google Webster's dictionary book. It's like this big old book, and it has so many terms in it. And I was like, I don't want to read this big old book. He said, okay, this is why I gave you a smaller book. They called it a thesaurus. It's like a treasure. Any word that you feel like a treat to find out, you can look through that, and it will give you another meaning that is more simpler for you. So I said, okay. So the more I kept reading this comic book, the more I started feeling good about reading. So then my second introduction, this is like, what, 5, 6 years old, yeah. By the time I got to a new public school, PS 185, hey, in 208. Well, first PS 185, honestly. It was a librarian. So I have 3 ways. Wow. It was 2. Now I'm really thinking about it, it's 3. So the second one was once I went into another school, a public school. That means there's people in there publicly you gotta meet. It was a librarian, and she was a beautiful white lady. Now this is another thing too, like going back to loving yourself. I'm like, ooh, okay, this person, or how can I relate to this person? And what made me go to her was the book she was reading. Like, she was into comic books too, and she had different books that expanded not just my mind, but with so many others. And she just happened to be white. Now that's not, it's no judgment. I'm not trying to be biased. I'm just telling you through my speech what I've been shown in my reality. That, first of all, being a person of color, may seem like a problem, right? And wow, not physically realizing that made me become an introvert. Because yes, I've been around people that look like me, yet I've had to connect with people that did not look like me all the time. And you kind of feel like an alien or a foreigner, you know? So like when foreigners come, I'm like, shoot, you're no different than any other person. We all feel inadequate and out of place. It's like, imagine everybody wearing black and you wearing white. They're like, wait a minute, where you come from? I'm like, I'm just wearing clothes. I didn't know that my clothing color really makes a person consciously look at you. But yeah, so seeing this person, connecting to her by her reading comic books, it made me realize or see, at least in one reality, that wow, I'm in love with something that other people love. And once I asked her, well, what made her like comic books, her thing was the adventure, and that comic books to her kind of showed how complex or how different we are as people, yet the same. So that made me look at this woman differently, in a way that I wouldn't think I would have looked at her if we didn't have something in common. That one thing that we did have in common was comic books. So feeling comfortable, since we had something in common to connect to, I told her something that only my cousin and my mother and close family members knew about me, is that I could not read, or it was very difficult for me to read. So once she, first of all, I had to be vulnerable, so that was something I wasn't used to doing. I'm used to keeping my feelings to myself, especially something that can be teased about. You know, I've been teased already about reading, so it's like, I don't want an adult to look at me like a charity case either. So I guess she seen that look on my face, and then she's like, no, okay. Let's get you something that you feel comfortable reading, besides comic books. So she put me on to songs. She loves listening to music, because, you know, on the spare time I used to come to her, because, you know, again, just in case I went to a different school does not mean that my subconscious or my self-esteem concerns didn't follow me. So here it is, I thought that going to a new school would change people's, or even my view on my flaw, or what would consider be not good, which is reading. So I still got teased about the reading. This in a new school. I just thought, oh, new school, new way of doing, it'd be all good. And it's like, nah, still got bullied, still got teased. And I was getting tired of that. So what made myself look at me and say, well, do I feel that I can't read, or that I'm not able to read? No, I think I'm quite capable of reading. It was as if something like a fire inside of me came out to say, well, how do you want to show yourself that you're ready to read, rather than just say you're ready? How are you going to show yourself you're ready to read? So I started listening to music. And the librarian, she put me on to music as well, along with my mom, like Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, that you would think, like classical music. Again, another plethora of something I had no premises of understanding. I'm like, why are you giving me opera? Like, why is this? So, listening to opera, and then just listening to music, listening to all the music that you hear me play, honestly, on Through the Doorway is what I grew up listening to. Some songs, you know, is of this time period, but a lot of songs like Shaka Khan, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder, these are some that's coming to mind. So many others that I play as a list that it took me back to my childhood, like listening to music and hearing the beat and hearing the words and wanting to find a way to read those words because I was so into them. And one that got me was Whitney Houston. I love Whitney Houston and her songs. So I started finding a way to read those. So when I would come back to school, I would tell my librarian or the librarian, like, oh, I have these songs and I would like to learn how to read them. And she would sit with me on her lunch break to teach me how to read. She didn't have to do that. Now, I don't think they pay you on your lunch break. I don't know. You know, at that time period, I didn't know. Like, do you get paid on lunch? You know? Or do you really have to help a student on your lunchtime? Because that is your time. That is your space. And she was willing to give me a part of her space to learn. And she asked me, she said, well, if you are so serious about reading, how about this? Let me get you on a challenge. Let's challenge you. This is before we even have the challenge that's out on YouTube and in society now. So I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to see how many books can you read. If you could get up to 50 books, I'll have a treat for you. And I'm like, okay, all right. And first of all, the number kind of felt so far away. I'm like, 50 books? Are you insane? Yet, the books that I was picking were, she said, you can pick any book that you want. So I ended up picking history and science and nonfiction books and fables and tales, along with comic books. And she said, you got to write them down as a list. So again, with the reading, I actually had to practice the writing too and be confident in my writing. So I wasn't the only one, I found out, that had issues with reading. It's just that other children knew how to, you know, camouflage it really well. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that so-and-so couldn't read like that, or I didn't know that this person couldn't read like that. How did they find a way to camouflage that? And the bullying stopped after that, because once she realized, the librarian realized, like, oh, I'm not the only one that had an issue with reading. She said, okay, we're going to make this a reading book club. We're going to make this a club. And if you guys are really ready, like Keon is ready to tackle 50 books, I'm going to take you guys out. Now, mind you, this is a public school. I don't know how the funding is, but I knew that this woman was so passionate for us to read that she was taking the extra mile when she didn't have to. So at first we were like, okay, I just love to, we're starting to love to read based on her compassion in being that compass for us. So I said, all right, let me read, let me, you know, and then it allowed me to read with other children that are not just my skin color, but from other cultures, and hearing their accent and how they read, how they interpret the same book, just reading it in a different way. So I was like, wow, I didn't know you could read it that way. I didn't know you could read it this way. Okay, cool. So we all was happy to read, and the bullying stopped, and I started making friends, and Next thing you know, we went past the 50 books. We reached 100 books. So she was like, "Oh my God!" She was so proud of us. And the librarian came up with the public school that I went to by treating us to, first of all, taking us to Carnegie Hall. I was like, "Oh my God! Oh my God!" Like looking at, first of all, I didn't know what Carnegie Hall was. I just felt like whatever, it sounded like something very curtsy, very like classy. I felt that. And she not only told me, obviously she had to get permission from our parents, and they were like flabbergasted, like, Carnegie Hall? You know how much Carnegie Hall is? Ooh, that's some cash. So, we wasn't thinking like that when we were children, so we weren't thinking of that nature of how far that could go. But she took us to see an opera. And after opera, she took us to Hard Rock Cafe. And before we even got there, like, first of all, I had to research with my mom. Like, my mom knew what Carnegie Hall was. I just didn't know. So I'm like, well, we're just going to go to Carnegie Hall. She's like, no, my dear. Carnegie Hall is a place where you have to dress up. So she took me to a nice place to get a beautiful dress and some shoes and have my hair done really nice. Again, I didn't think of nothing of it. I was like, well, this is just a place. And she's like, well, this place requires you to dress a certain way. And I'm like, well, why? At first I thought, well, why do I have to dress a certain way? So we got the shoes and we got the dress, and I felt good first, and it kind of showed me something, that the way we dress gives us this sense of self, like in an expressive way. Like, wow, first, just to see your body in a different attire makes you feel astute, makes you feel, tall and special. And I thought to dress up was like a way to show yourself how much you love yourself. And I was like, wow, I'm not dressing in my regular clothes. I'm not dressing in the clothes that, got me bullied. I'm not dressing the clothes that made me feel small. I'm not dressing the clothes that made me feel not safe. And it wasn't just the clothes, it was me in those clothes. Remember, me not being able to read at the time, and whatever I was wearing, whatever I felt, matched everything. It's not just what we feel, it also matches what we wear, how we walk, how our body language too. So again, wearing this dress and feeling special was like, wow, this must be a special occasion. This must be a special event for us, for my mom to really sit down with me and tell me, like, it's going to be a certain time in your life where you have to dress like this and you have to walk like this. And she's like, oh, how do you walk? And mind you, heels, you see why I have my bare feet, right? I can wear heels now, but to wear heels, like a nice little 1-inch heel or half an inch heel, I believe, for a young girl was still new to me. I'm like, first of all, I didn't know I was a tomboy until my mom told me. She's like, well, how do you walk? So I'm like, okay, let me show you how I walk. And she's like, okay, put the shoes on. So I put the shoes on, and I kid you not, when you put on some shoes, fellas, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you, when you put on some shoes, you do got to alter your walk. And it's not on purpose. Isn't it? When you see a woman walking and strutting her stuff, you thinking she just did that? Nah, play it. At first, it started with figuring out how to walk in the shoes, then coming up with your own style while walking. So imagine, I'm in shoes, I'm like, So I had to do like what came to my mind's eyes, like a geisha. You gotta, like this is too slow. I want to walk. She's like, no. How do you feel when you walking in the shoes? And I had to think about that. Like, well, this goes right back to self-love. How do I feel walking in some shoes? I walked, and I realized that my legs came up a certain way. My hips moved from a certain side to side. I had to, like, arch my back so I wouldn't fall. You know, so when you see models with the books on their head, that has a significance. That where you really gotta balance how you walk. So that way, it shows an expression of how you feel in the elegant sense. So I said, Ma, I kind of feel silly at first. She said, well, we all feel silly doing something new. But after the silliness, how do you feel about yourself? So, well, I kind of feel, can I say it? She's like, sure, baby. What is it? I said, I kind of feel sexy. And I would giggle. I was like, okay. And she's like, well, you're supposed to feel sexy. This is you. You're supposed to love yourself. And that, again, that loving yourself. I'm like, well, through material things? She's like, and I didn't say material because at that time I didn't know what material was. But I'm like, do these shoes? She's like, no, it's the shoes is just there to show you something. What is it showing you when you are in some shoes? For one, I can say this, being barefooted, I couldn't walk outside in the street barefoot. So it made me feel very special to know I had a different type of shoes on. It made me feel sacred as a person. It made me feel good to be blessed to even have a different pair of shoes. Even the shoes that I had on, I realized had a specialness to them too. It gets me to go to school. It got me to get on a bus. It got me to meet this librarian. It got me to every location in the world. So it made me thankful of the shoes I did have because, again, 1.5 or the half-inch shoes, it makes you value flats real quick. It makes you value flats of being barefoot real good. For real. But going back, seeing that wearing the shoes brought out a sense of me that I didn't even know stood with me. It just needed something to be able to show me a part of myself. So I'm walking, and we had to go to the public school, to PS25. Get to the front. We all met. We met there, and everybody was looking so beautiful, and the people that I became friends with, I got to see them again in a whole different light. It's like whatever they were wearing showed me how much they love themselves, but the way they love themselves, it's like each clothing gave me a understanding, because I was like, oh wow, I love that. What is that, a scarf? It's like, it's a cashmere. So it was a scarf, but it was a kind of fabric of a scarf. So it made me understand different fabrics of scarves. I'm like, oh my God, I love those shoes. And even the fellas, when they were wearing their shoes, for one, it was different than the sneakers. I was like, wow, you're wearing grown man shoes. I was like, only time I seen shoes was on grown men when they go out. So I was like, wow, we really must be going somewhere special. Because all the kids, all of us as children, we didn't know. It's like, okay, we just know we're going somewhere sweet and special because we had to dress up. Only time you dress up is going to church or Easter, or a wedding. It has to be an occasion for you to dress up like that. That's how I felt. And I was not, I actually became shocked when my newfound friends said the same thing, like, God, wait, the only time I dress like this is when I go to church, or the only time I dress like that is when I'm going to the mosque or going somewhere. I was like, mosque, okay. So we get to the front of the school, and we're thinking like, okay, we're going to get on the yellow school bus, When you go on a trip, you go on a school bus, right? Oh no. This lady did something special indeed. She got a limousine just for us. Now, mind you, this is elementary school. And to see a limousine, I was like, wow, we must be some stars up in here. Like, I was like, what? Like, what? Like, we were all like looking at each other like, are we imagining this scene right here? It just felt like we was going to a ball, like, wow. And so we went into the limousine and we was trying to like be real quiet and casual, like just not touch anything, because you know you're taught not to touch stuff because you don't want to pay for stuff. You touch it and mess it up. So she's like, no, 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 whatever you like, take it. You know, this is our night. And we was just like opening the windows, like, hey, we in the limousine, hey. We were acting so like children that it kind of felt so surreal. Like, it was like, we're children, but I've only seen adults with status in limousines. I've only seen people that had a certain type of power or money in the world to be able to afford that. So to be where we didn't work for it, or we thought we didn't when we actually did, we read a lot. Again, to the librarian, to the school itself, reading was more than just the money. And how we went about really reading, like, we didn't just read. I could have read to myself and figured it out, but it's like, nah, I went out of my fear of being ridiculed or laughed at, and went to another person that had this similar situation, and that person helped me how to read stronger. And then that person went to another person, and then that's how we formed a group. So going out of our fear of what did not feel right at first, but we felt ready, made us come together. And that's what was that reminder of, like, wow, the school didn't have to do that. The librarian didn't have to do this. Now, mind you, we just in a limousine, and we already feeling like lifted. We already feeling like this, like a kite, just all up it, and this. We felt like a children with candy, like, woo. So we get out the limousine. We didn't even want to get out of that. It was just so beautiful. It's like, oh my God. But once we stepped out in Kingandqu Hall, I was like, oh my God. I see why Mom and so many others were looking at me when I said, I'm just going to Kingandqu Hall, why they was like, you confused child, you don't know what you're talking about. Now I see, when I tell you, it looked like its own church, like its own paradise. Like, it was just like a beautiful building, and before you get to the building, you had to go up the stairs, long stairs, and you see this bright golden light, and I was like, whoa, okay, I'm here, walking up to the stairs, through the door, and to have people look at us and smile at us. It's not like they looked at us and frowned. It was like, wow, they respected us. And then I was like, oh, that makes sense. We're dressing like them. We're dressing like people that are going to a special place. Okay, I now understand why dressing for the occasion means so much. So we're dressing and we feel so good about ourselves. We love ourselves and how we, first of all, dressed and put ourselves together and had our parents put ourselves together, and how we bonded and all that, that just walking through the hallway and seeing so many beautiful colors and hearing like the instruments being played, and then we're going into these seats and seeing like different people from different countries coming together to watch this one event, this one operatic show, and to see, for one, people that did look like me there, maybe also see that, wow, what I thought was really not true. Just because my skin is brown does not mean that I'm bound to not experiencing something that someone else may have privileges in seeing. And then to see singers that look like me and look like my friends on stage, I was just blown away, like, wow, they're singing. Now, mind you, I just said singing I loved. I still love doing, so I was like, okay, this will explain why Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, so many others, I was like, now I get why my mom was introducing me to, with the librarian, this type of music. Besides, 60s and 70s music, even 50s music. Ray Charles, oh my God. That was my grandfather. So seeing that and then experiencing that, I was like, and I told my librarian teacher, and I told my friends that very day, I said, I'm going to be up there. I'm going to perform up there. And they looked at me. They didn't laugh. They didn't shy and say, oh, you wouldn't do that. They was like, well, let's see if you're ready to do that. So I said, okay, again. I said, how can I get up on that stage? So I said, okay, I'm going to start reading lyrics now. So a lot of times people thought, oh, you must have went to church first to sing. I said, no, I was in school first. I learned through school. So went from PS 185, now I'm in PS 208 because it's a connected school. Now, my mom went to that school, so she was like, okay, the other schools didn't match you, so let me take you to a school that I went to as a young child. So she took me to PS 185, and that's where I met the librarian, and then I went to PS 208. Now, mind you, I graduated, so I was like, oh, I graduated. So, I went to 208. 2 plus 8, 10. I didn't realize Taurus and Scorpio. Funny. Both were in my chart. Didn't realize it. And then the source, the creator that creates all things, was right there with me. Like, you ain't by yourself, girl. You ain't by yourself, girl. You know I'm guiding you. I'm guiding you. Come on now. So I'm guided. I'm being guided. And I'm like, okay, now that I'm reading, how can I relate this to new groups of people? Because again, I wanted to relate to another person. I wanted to relate to people. And that's something that I probably didn't realize in myself to now. That I like to relate to people, or I like to resonate with people. I like to see how we can resonate with each other. So singing was my next step. Like I said, I wanted to get on Carnegie Hall stage. I was going to be on Carnegie Hall. So get to Carnegie Hall. We seen the performance, opera, loved it. I said, oh, I'm going to learn that. So, 208, I meet this beautiful teacher, Mr. Reeves. And I'm like, yo. First of all, his name is Mr. Reeves. I'm like, well, that's a resonance right there. Maybe that's the person I need to come to. And I seen this guy, and he was like, oh, go to Mr. Reed, go to Mr. Reed. I said, okay, he's going to teach me how to read. I already know that. He said, no, he's the choir director. So I said, okay. So I had to go into the auditorium. And here it is. He said, well, can you sing? I said, well, I hum. I sing in the house, but I don't think I can sing. We all can. I feel we all can sing personally, so I don't really know if I can sing. So he's like, okay, let me test you then. So he played the scales. He played some keys on the piano, and every key he had to play, I had to repeat back, like a call and response. I was like, oh, this feel like church. Okay, I can do that. I just did that. I just thought that was normal. He was like, oh, you got a good ear. I'm like, okay. I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, of course I got good ears. We all got ears. Again, you getting to know me. I'm not the brightest at times. So he said, okay, come back and you'll be a soprano. So I was like, okay. But so I come in and he having us sing, and he says, well, I want to have you sing a song. I said, oh no. The first thing that came into my head was, oh, not again, where I gotta go in front of people and do something. I just told you guys that reading was not my specialty at first, and then reading I was embarrassed. So I said, okay, singing is not my specialty because I don't know how to sing. So why's he got me singing? And I'm like, okay, still being shy. He's like, do you love singing? I said, I love it. He said, well, show me how much you love it. So he gave me this song from the Mississippi Choir. I was like, okay, Mississippi, all right, we taking it southern, right? Really? And he just looked, I'm just like, because I couldn't speak the way I was thinking, because again, he's a teacher, I'm just looking at him like, you know, you, and mind you, he was black. He's black. He alive. He black. So I'm like, you know, are you trying to trick me into something? And he just looked at me. He's like, oh, I know. The choir, the name of the choir is making you feel a little funny, right? But listen to the song, and I'm going to teach you it. And he had to teach us all. So it's not like I was just learning on my own. But he felt, based on what I was going to say, how I was going to sing it, would be a perfect fit for me as a soloist. And I had to know what a soloist meant. I just thought, oh, I'm going to sing with some group of people. Yay, okay. So I didn't mind doing that. And so he said, you're going to have to sing it in front of your peers or in front of the people. I said, nah, no. I was scared. If I could run, if I was like a cat, if you put a cat near water, that's how I felt, like, ah! But I couldn't run. So I could run, but so he said, okay, it's called the Shepherd Song. I said, Shepherd? Let me find out what shepherd is. So as we getting this lyrics, I actually had to find out what was shepherd. So I said, well, who do I know that knows southern terms? Excuse me, I thought it was southern terms. I didn't know it was actually words. So I was like, look, you said Mississippi choir, so I'm thinking it's from the South. So let me talk to somebody who's from the South. So my grandfather, he's from the South, you know, North Carolina, Florida. He knows people from Mississippi as well. And he was like, okay. First, there was two reasons why I went to him. One, I knew he would tell me the truth in regards to the words that was being spoken, or that I had to sing. Then two, he comes from the South. So I'm like, okay. So as I'm speaking to him, I'm showing him what the lyrics are. This is when he brings out the Bible. And I'm like, Grandpa, why are you bringing out the Bible for? He's like, do you love singing? I said, again, with this love thing, do you love stuff? Do you love? Yes, I love what I'm. He said, no, do you love what you sound? Do you love this song? I said, I do love this song. Even though I didn't know the words, I knew whatever was being sung was special to somebody, or even to myself. So he took out the Bible and he showed me what was a shepherd. And one of them happened to be Moses. I was like, okay. It was other shepherds in the Bible, but that one stuck out. So as he's reading Moses to me in his story, I was like, oh, okay. I said, well, Grandpa, how do you know so much? And this is before he showed me, he just showed me the Bible, but he broke it down in the story before we had to read it in the Bible. So I'm like, well, how do you know so much of this? And that's when I had to find out what he loved about himself. It's like, you know what I love about myself? I was like, well, what? It's like, I love that I come from a family line of pastors. Your great-grandfather, which is my father, is a pastor. And that's how I learned how to read. I said, what? He said, yeah, I learned how to read through the Bible. I said, for real? He said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. So I didn't challenge it. I just said, oh, okay. So he was like, well, now you know why you see me, because I used to see him read, like, have the Bible out at night and read it. I'm like, okay, maybe he's just into that book. I didn't know what the book was. I just knew it was a book. Until I go to church, I'm saying, wow, that color looks similar to my grandfather's book, but I just missed it. He said, now that you know what book this is, how do you feel about me reading the Bible to you? At first, I didn't know what to feel. I was just like, well, I feel good that you showing me this. He said, do you understand why I love it? I said, no. He said, well, I love it because it connects me to my father. Not just above, but below. And I was like, what do you mean by that? He said, well, your grandfather, my father, this is what he was passionate about. And as much as I didn't like going to church every day, because he had to go to church every day. For all those that go to church, I mean, he went Sunday through Saturday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You would think that I was one of those. He didn't push that on us. He didn't even push that on my mama. He actually let us go on Sunday, like, You know, it wasn't like consistent the way he had to experience it. But again, that's what he loves though. So he's like, well, I wasn't in love with going to church, but I loved the Bible. So I read it more than I physically went to church. I was like, oh, okay. How did your father feel about that? He's like, well, he didn't feel too good about it, but he loved me. So he understood. Understands. So I was like, okay. So he's like, a shepherd is a person to help lead sheep. I said, well, why do sheep need to be led? I mean, it's a bunch of sheep. There's a lot of sheep there. Why do they need to be led? He's like, because it's a two-way street. It's not that the sheep don't need the shepherd. The sheep don't really need the shepherd. The sheep feel safe with this shepherd to walk with him. The shepherd, which is the guide, the man, feels safe to guide these sheep. I said, well, why would that be a case? He said, well, imagine a group of people walking in the street, right? And they don't know, first of all, that now they're walking in the street. Before, there was no such thing as a street. There wasn't even a pavement. It was just land and horses. So imagine you could be walking and not realize that it could be a herd of horses coming your way. Only person that knows that is a person that of that land, of that surrounding. So that would explain why the shepherd followed, or why the sheep followed the shepherd, and why the shepherd walked with the sheep. I said, oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, since you put it that way, yeah. If I didn't know this is a street, or even traffic, if I didn't know this was traffic and I had to go in the street, I would have to look for a shepherd, which would be the street lights, or would be the lights, the green light, the red light, and the yellow light. That is like a shepherd. So I'm like, oh, I would have to look at those symbols exactly to cross the street. So, oh, got it. So now being excited, I said, okay, now that I know what sheep and shepherd means, what does this mean to me though? So I had to look at the people I loved, or the people that loved me, when I didn't feel right. When I couldn't read, my cousin was my shepherd. When I didn't feel confident in taking my reading to the next level, the librarian became my shepherd. When I didn't know my way in life, my mom became my shepherd. When I had to go outside in the world and feel safe, my brothers became my shepherd. Now, even though I'm the oldest, my brothers, they're men, they're young men, so I felt more safe around them. Those were my shepherds. I was like, oh, okay. So am I a sheep? Yes. Can a sheep become a shepherd? Depends. So I'm not thinking nothing of it. I said, okay. So I'm actually going and seeing what's out there. Is you like, okay, Mr. Reed said, okay, now that you know the song, guys, I have an audition that I would like for people, have a list. I would like these people to come up and sing a part of the song that they feel comfortable. I guess that was to find out who can sing the lead. So, you know, I happened to be on that list, and I was hoping not. I was like, please, please don't make me be a part of that list. And I was. So, but I happened to be like, maybe like later on, like 8th or 10th person. I was so happy. But I felt more scared because the more people came up there and showed me what I had to do, I was like, oh my God. So when I seen that their nervousness, I was the only one that was nervous, I was like, okay, cool. But then I felt sad. I'm like, dang, they got to go up there and show themselves what they love in this song. Meaning they had, it's not like Mr. Reed or this teacher pushed a lyric on us out of the song to sing. He's like, no, I want you to read the song, and based on the song that you have read, what part of the song you love. So imagine every person that he had at that list, Others after that list could come up to sing the song to see if they wanted to be a part of it. But that goes to show you, you had to pick something you loved, though, to sing. That's what made people shy. You had to pick something you love and then show it. So, again, when we were talking about self-love is something also, not just what we talk to ourselves in speech. It's what we also got to show outside of ourselves what we love. And that could be scary. It could be, it makes you want to just, if you can't get sucker punched, you can have a reason to not do it. But in a way, it's like this pushing you to show a part of yourself that you might show in silence, but outside of yourself, though. So you can't keep it in the shadows. You got to show it now in light. You're like, oh man. So I seen all the people that I've known since I was younger in the other classroom, because some of the children from PS185 went to PS208. So all the ones that used to bully me and tease me, they were up there singing. I said, ooh, I get to see if they feel confident in themselves. And let's just say, they didn't feel confident. I said, well. So now, I know you ain't gonna bully me, because all I gotta do is say, you do know that song you had to sing? Oh, I heard you. Shudder when you were singing. They knew not to come up and address me or try to bully me anymore, because they know I'm in the same classroom as them in this chorus. When I'm looking at them like, yeah, try now. Getting on me, because I now know how to read, so it wasn't, now they can't blame me on my reading. It was just me as a person. They like to, scrutinize and scare. Because I didn't look like this, guys. I was like this. I was skinny with long hair, this legs and hair. That's it. And smiling. I like smiling a lot. This. They was like, no. I was like, oh. So for all those who now know me, when you see me and you be thinking I'm frowning, nah. I just got used to closing my mouth because some people just didn't like me smiling. They didn't like me smiling. So they found a way to smack that out. But I digress. Singing. I was like, okay. So it was my turn to go up there to sing the Shepherd song. And I picked the chorus part, I believe. And for those who do not know the Shepherd song or the chorus, I can read the chorus from what I remember. You say that you are my sheep. Why aren't you following me? You say that I am your shepherd. Why aren't you following me? When my sheep hears my voice, they come running to me, and you say, I am your shepherd. Why aren't you following me? That's it. That's all I sung. Now, I felt confident singing that, even young. The look on my peers' face, or the people in my perimeter in public school, they just looked at me like, what did this happen? What did Kiana just do? I know she can read. I know she can read, but she can sing too. I was like, what are they talking about? So I got the solo. I said, okay, so what is the solo? It was like, solo means you front center. You center stage. You in the front. That same chorus you were singing, you got to sing that and the lyrics, like certain parts of the lead. I said, oh, wow, no. I was already scared singing that. So I'm going to stop right here for just a second to ask you guys, What have you felt when you show yourself love? Have you felt scared to show that part of yourself? Like whatever you love about you, when it's time to actually lead in that or show it, did you ever feel scared or shy? Like timid? Like troublesome? Like this is going to be a terrifying thing to do. Or did you feel when you showed that part that you love, did you feel safe? Did you feel solid? Solid as a rock. Listen, did you feel solid? Let me know. Call 718-253-4239. 718-253-4239. In regards to that, like, when showing what you love, how did it make you feel? For me, I can say it scared me many times. Showing what I love of myself, I always feel scared. Even now, I feel scared. I just got, like life, you start to find a way to submerge with it. But I'm still scared. Like, I'm so shy right now. Like, I'm still an introvert. So call 718-253-4239. 718-253-4239. Let me know how, when showing what you love, because showing others what you love will require for you as that self, that person, that being, to bring out the very thing that makes you feel like you belong, that makes you belong. So call and let me know what is something in your life that you love, and how did you feel when you showed that part of yourself? Because self-love is not just us speaking it, it's finding ways to show it inside of ourselves, in our conscious mind, and even in our subconscious mind, figuring out how to bring it out. So it takes 3 elements within us. It takes a consciousness to be clear on what it is that we love. It takes our subconscious mind to have that storage to say, oh, you know what you love? It's in here in your storage, in your memory brain, in your memory or membrane. Bring it out. Show it, like now. And if you don't, you know what's funny? Life and the universe find ways for you to have to show that you love yourself. And what you do, why you do it, how you do it, when you do it, where you do it. When, where, why, how, you know what I'm talking about. So definitely call, let me know showing yourself through what you love. How did that make you feel through your reactions inside of yourself and then outside of yourself? I would definitely like to hear it. And what was it? Was it, I know it's not all things were performing arts for me. Some was just, like I said, reading. Sometimes it was writing. To this day, my teachers, even when I would write, they're like, you write in parables. You write as if in poetry. And then I had to learn how to do poetry. But you don't write in the regular format. You write in like as if you were speaking to someone. And I didn't realize that. So I was like, oh, okay. I just thought that was just a way of, I just write like that. It's like, no, you got to write a certain format. So writing, for me it was reading, singing, eventually dancing. And again, from singing, what is the first thing you learn as a singer? That diaphragm. Like, when they do this, they're not playing. So, yeah. What is it that you love? What is it that you love showing? I would definitely like to hear from you guys. 718-253-4239. 718-253-4239. Let me know. How did that make you feel? When you showed that part of yourself? How did that make you feel? I would definitely like to hear from you guys. Even if it's through, that's why I have the phone here. So I said, hey guys, so that way y'all know, look, if y'all can't respond, text it. Like, text what you love showing about yourself. That will be cool. If you can't call me, chat it on King and Queen Radio on the YouTube channel. King and Queen Radio on YouTube. KeyKey's Doorway. You could leave your response there or comments there. So if you have a comment, leave a comment. If you want to chat, chat. This is why I have the phone here, so that way I can look to see. If I don't see a call, then I can look on the phone to see, like, oh, people want to leave a comment instead or chat with me instead. That's cool. I'm all about connection anyway, so I don't care how you connect, as long as we connect. Alright? So, again, definitely call 718-253-4239. We are in King and Queen Radio livestream.com. We're in BookingTheStation.com, where you can also listen to live stream. You can live stream us at livestream KNQ Radio. That's livestream.com KNQ Radio. Because right now we in 93.5 FM. Go get us. This is what I'm trying to go get her at, is what we love about ourselves and how to show that more. Because self-love is not, I don't believe it's selfish. I don't feel it's selfish. I know it's not selfish, because every time showing what I do love gives me one step closer to knowing who I am as a self. Just because we say your name or this is who I am as a self doesn't mean when it's time to showcase it, it is synchronized with that. A lot of times when we show ourselves what we love, we are surprised at what we see when we bring it out. It can even be anger. I mean, like, even our anger makes us know what moves us in the first place. Because in order for you to be angry, something had to matter to you. In order for you to feel sad, something had to really sink in a space that no one could get at, but only few people that's close to you. And for someone to get there and they didn't even have to know you is like, wow, how did they get there? Even that shows the dimensions of who we are as people, as a person. So let's see, what is self-love to you? And how do you show yourself love in different ways? Mine didn't start off as singing, started off as reading. And I'm going to tell you, I did get to Carnegie Hall. Yeah. And guess what? I had to go to, Borough Manhattan Community College to get there. Borough Manhattan Community College. That choir up in there. And we had to sing, oh my God. Was it the Messiah? Yeah, we had to sing the Messiah, right? Yeah, the Messiah. Yes, we had to sing the Messiah. And I'm not just talking about that part where everybody know, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Nah, not just that. I mean the whole book. It's like a mini Webster book. Webster dictionary. I was like, good God. That book was not, it was intense. When we got to that part, that was the end. We were happy. That's why we was like, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. We were happy because we got to the end of the book. It's like reading a whole book, a whole 10 chapters without a break. Musically. You'll be happy when you finish a book. It's like exercising. When you get to that last crunch, you know you heard, you're like, oh, please, how many reps do we got? This is the last one. Okay. Yeah. That's when you put it all in there, right? Yeah. So, again, self-love is so many ways, so many dimensions. I did perform in Carnegie Hall. So if I could have seen my teacher and my friends in public school, in elementary, to let them know, like, hey, when you were saying show yourselves, it really did matter to me what they said, because it's like, well, they had a point. How do I show myself I really want to be on that stage? And it wasn't just the stage. It was the meaning of how I got there. I didn't get there by my color. I didn't get there by the money I had. I didn't get there by the status of my peers. I got there simply on a principle that I wasn't prepared for. And from that motion, it made me feel even more of a matter of fact, like, okay, if I got here without any of the things that by society's norms could have gotten me there, I'm going to get there. Oh, and I ain't forget about TU, because I'm about to break down Talent Unlimited too. Because Talent Unlimited in high school, y'all bring out the talent, I tell you. And it's funny because you would think, like, and that's a new school too, Talent Unlimited. That was when I went there in 1999. Yeah. 1999. Yeah, when I went there, it was a new school. I was auditioning for like girls choir, Harlem, LaGuardia, Juilliard. Like, once I realized the singing, because again, going to public school, oh my God, it's so much. Okay, going to 208, singing the Shepherd song with my peers, with the people in public school, you know, children like myself that was in public school. That got us to go to a worldwide audition, meaning we weren't supposed to be there. Publicly, we were one of the schools that was like, well, how did we get there? Because of the choir, because of us as the choir, the people that was in the choir, whoever was in the audience when we were just singing the song, heard something, said, I believe your school should go for the audition for a scholarship for the international competition. That was my first time even competing. I was like, what? I'm competing for what? To sing? I was scared. I was 12 years old. I was like, you say that I am your shepherd. Why aren't you following me? They was like, you sang good. I was like, I was shy that day. Are you insane? I was shy. Yet we was second place. Yeah, second place. I didn't care. Hey, people don't really care about being second. I'm like, look, sometimes you don't want to be first. You really don't. Sometimes you just don't. Because you be the first one to get scrutinized. You be the first one that people think is silly. Like, oh, you the first one? I could do better. Well, because you now have a comparison. If you went up there first, I think you would have got mad at me if I said, oh, I could do better than you. Did you go up there first? No. So why are you talking? Go up there and then see. And when I went up there on that stage, I could see, like, I can't, I don't laugh at people even to this day when they got to go on stage and do something. I be like, ooh, I wish them luck, for real. Like, please, let them be their shining star. Because I know the other end of that stick. I've been taunted first before I've been seen as a trophy or a triumph. I'm like, nah, I feel for them. So, what is it that you had to show of yourself that you love? Because this is something, this is my quest, this is my journey with you guys through the doorway. This is really what I've been intentionally wanting to bring out from day one. It's not just me playing music, it's not me just dancing, because again, I just told you, even though you see me dancing and doing certain moves, these moves, somebody had to teach me. These moves, somebody had to teach me. These moves, somebody had to teach me how to do it. You know? This ain't my cup of tea. That ain't my cup of tea. So everything is an art. Everything can be shown as self-love. How do you show yourself outside of yourself that you do love yourself? Because what you do love, another person loves too. What do you love about yourself? And when you love yourself, how do you show it? Definitely call 718-253-4239. Because I would like to bring people on to the show where we can actually show the world what we do love and why we love it. Because it helps bring us to a higher self-esteem. You notice how self-esteem still has that word self. Self-love, self-esteem, self-awareness, self-knowledgement, know thyself. Every time I hear something, it always requires the self involved in it. Like, you can't just say a word without having the word self in it. You're like, what the? Dude, I love you. Okay, you love me as a self? I love you. What is it that I love about you as a self? I still would have to acknowledge something about you as a self to express what I do love about you. Because it's something you had to show me as another person that you may not show with everybody else. Or if you did show to other people, this is still a side of you as a self that I now are growing to know. Again, people know me as a singer. They know I sing. I just be singing. Hey, I love singing. I mean, because, you know, for one, it's like, look, I don't have to read nothing. That's for one. But when I realized that I can read and continue to read, I'm like, huh, alright, I can do something with that. I can do something with that. Okay. So, what is it that you guys out there listening, what is it that you love about yourself? Because the thing that you love, the things, the people, places, and things, because again, I just said this is a noun. Self-love in the Webster or the Google described it as a noun. So it can be expressed through people, places, and things. What is it that you love about yourself? What is a place that you love? What is a thing that you love? And then why do you love it? I would love to hear it from you. So let me see what's going on. Okay. So, again, if you feel uncomfortable calling, comment. Leave in the comment box on YouTube King and Queen Radio. Check under KeyKey's doorway. Leave a comment, or if you want to chat right now. This is the perfect time for me to connect with you guys in regards to how do we love ourselves and what ways do we express that love. Now, a lot of people say, well, what is the significance of that? Well, for one, how do you think we get people, places, and things around us? Something about us we love. Something about us, others, when they see us, feel not only safe, but they feel this sacred space that we're bringing out of ourselves. It's like seeing this high self-esteem when we show ourselves love. Like for me, again, singing, I had to see that singing is not just singing. I had to become fit. I had to start recognizing my body. And that was another thing I was self-conscious about, was my body image. Again, I was not this shape. This here, this all right here. All right here. Yeah, I was not this weight. I was very skinny. And I used to get picked on, like smiling and skinny, with long hair. They used to beat on me like sticks, rocks, words. And for a Taurus, like you would think Taurus, that's my birth sign, but that didn't mean I started off like that. It's like little baby cattle, you know, little tiny cattle. It was so cute, so precious. You know, something you could just push on. You know what I mean? I ain't get these shoulders till later. I was like, yo, I'm about to like learn how to fight eventually. I could, you know, back in the day, I was born in the 80s. So you know if somebody beats you up and you go home beat up, you know what they tell you, right? You best not come home beat up again, else we gonna beat you up. And I'm like, who you mean we gonna beat? Your family gonna beat you up. Toughen you up. Like, why y'all gotta get tough? Why you gotta beat me too? Like I'm already getting it in school. Why I gotta get it at home? And it's like they're trying to show me to get some backbone. Like back it up. Like Will say, back up. You're better than me. Like you had to kind of get crazy a little bit. You had to do a little something like that. And like, what's she doing? She crazy. Like, hopefully that scared you not to hit me. You know what I mean? But some children seen the same show I was seeing, and it's like, I know where she getting that tick from. How about take this cat? I'm like, that ain't right. So my mom was like, look here, we don't want us to beat you. And they from the South, so they, you know, that switch. This is before gangs was even made up. I was like, shoot, you get an introduction to a gang when you at home, like, yo, let you come home beat up. It's like a Soul Train line, like, yeah, you want to get beat up today? You just don't feel good. You don't feel your self-worth. You don't feel that you should protect yourself. I'm like, nah, I don't know what protect myself means. What? Like, I thought I am protecting myself. I thought I'm just being me. It's like, no, protect yourself. If somebody approaches you and they want to fight, you're going to have to learn the language of fighting. I'm like, it's bad enough I have to realize the language of reading. Now you're going to tell me as a person I got to learn the language of fighting too? Like, yeah, and when I tell you, to get a timid Taurus to be a terror took a lot of training. It took a lot of training. Oh my God. I was like, I'm so stubborn too. So when I always see people as beautiful. I see people as beautiful until they show me another side of them that I'm like, oh, it's beautiful, but not the beauty I'm into. And they was like, that beauty is called beating up. I was like, wow, why do people beat each other up for? Because they want to. I'm like, nah, it gotta be a reason behind that. You know, like, it gotta be. And domestic violence is not the only time in life that you see people get beat up. You see it in life in general. Like, you do something you like, someone wants to tease you. That's another way of getting beat up. It was just through words. And I had to find out how to, like, my family now know. They're like, that's why you got a filthy mouth at times? I'm like, yeah. And it's so funny because in elementary school, going back to school, learning how to read, again, learning songs, and going to Carnegie Hall, we came back, I was so hyped. I was like, yeah, I'm going to start reading more. I'm going to start doing more things that requires reading. So I read Maya Angelou poem. Next time I'm gonna get that poem that I read when I was younger and rehearse it here with you guys so y'all can understand what I was doing. Because first of all, that Maya Angelou was is still my hero, one of my heroes. Like, to see a woman of color speak her mind in the time period that she lived in, that a person's mind could get you into martyrdom or have you become a martyr. That moved me, because I'm like, wow, how did she, just like Martin and Malcolm and Mahalia Jackson and so many others that took that movement, they didn't have to. So I wanted to know, like, this practice, I said, let me get a particular poem, because I was into poems at that time. If it's not singing, poetry is, to me, that like a rapper or someone that was a part of hip hop would say, poetry is in itself rapping. Poetry is another way to rap. Poetry is another way to speak. Poetry is another way to express yourself through lyrics. And I was like, wow, that's another outlet to express what you love? Wow. Okay, so I picked a nice, cool poem, and this is, again, poetry, and to read it, first of all, to read it was really cool for me. And then to go on stage again to perform what I read, because like when I looked at Maya Angelou, she came off as this person that really mattered about people and mattered about things, and this was not moved by any type of maneuver you try to get on her on. It's like she just gave you that look, like, you know, the old school grandma look, or that, you know, a name, like a person on the street that know you and your family, like, you know you ain't supposed to be here. You know you ain't supposed to be here. Where you supposed to be? It's like she gave you that kind of look, like, and that's what I love about people. They give you a reaction that only your closest family would do. Like, even strangers, like neighbors, people on the street, I couldn't, like, move in the world without getting noticed. Like, I know your mama. I know Crystal. Crystal, I know your mama. You know you ain't supposed to be here. Dang, yeah, I hope they don't tell on me. But, you know, like, Maya gave that look, so I was like, okay, if she's that type of person, or that's what I got from her, I said, I'm going to find a poetry of hers. And I did. Now, mind you, I'm in public school. I'm not thinking nothing of it, because we had to showcase what matters to us. And what mattered at that time, after the Carnegie Hall, besides the singing and the reading, was poetry. So I ended up singing one of Maya Angelou's poems, and we had to memorize it. So again, this is another new thing for me, memorization. Oh my God, like, oh, I thought reading was this it. You had to remember what you read too? Verbatim? Yo, to all the actors, to memorize lines, and not just your lines, other people's lines, so you know when to come in line, that, you had to do a Sierra, you had to level up. Like, whoo, you have to be conscious and subconsciously aware of what's going on before going on. That's crazy. I'm like, whoo, it made me have a whole new respect for actors when doing a poem. Even writers, I'm like, hey, you really gotta memorize this? Whew. Okay, so I memorized it, which means like you read something. It's like doing a what do they call it in acting class, or even in English class. It's like you're proofreading, and then you re-speak what you just read. But you try to get it as close to what you read, every word or every sentence. You try to get as close to it as possible when it comes to memorization. It's like, how good is your memory? So, look here. This is why old timers, I say it wrong, but they call it Alzheimer's. Old timers, like when they can't remember things, why it does matter to them. If you wonder why when we get older, or when you see someone that does not remember, why they get really irritated, it's not you, it's them. Like, why can't I not remember this? These are the things that matter to me. These are the things that I love so much. And you telling me it's like a leaf in the wind, it just left me? How is this possible? And it leaves a person feeling empty. I've seen that before, and my grandfather and many others. So when they say, when older people or people that are of age, and they say, yo, keep reading, keep being active, keep learning about yourself, keep loving yourself, keep learning, loving yourself. And you're like, well, why is that going to be so significant to me? Because when it's a time in your life when you really cannot remember something, you'll look back and say, oh, now I understand. Or when, even now, sometimes I can remember something, it's like, I'm like, Dad, what was it? What was it? And it takes another person to be around me to be like, oh, that's what it was, that's what it is. And then this is why memory is so cool, because it is like our membrane. Our membrane is like a mirror, an actual mirror. Like, I'm looking at a mirror now. I'm seeing my reflection. So if somebody says, well, how did you look when you was in your 30s? I'm like, well, compared to when I was in my 20s or compared to when I was 9 years old, different. I was a stick then. Now I'm hippie. I'm voluptuous now. You know, I was voluptuous. I'm a voluptuous woman. I got the double D cups, got the hips, got the back, got the, physically, if I have to physically describe who I am, these things hold a significance because it tells somebody else that, oh, your body is changing. Yes, your body is changing. Our body is clay. It's minerals. It's like this salt. It's like sand. Eventually, we become dust at the end, right? Dust is another way of saying sand to me. Another way of saying another type of follicle, another type of mineral, even a rock. What comes to mind is Elijah Rock. Elijah Rock. Oh, Elijah Rock. Oh, Elijah Rock, Elijah Rock. Oh, I learned that from Talent Unlimited. Mr. Smite, you got me every time with that one. You got me every time. But yes, memorizing Maya Angelou in public school, right? I get there and I didn't know who was in the audience. It's like our peers, our parents, people in the community came to see children in public schools perform. So I was still shy, but I didn't think nothing of it because I'm like, these are people I see every day. I've been bullied by you. I've been picked on by you. I bond with you. We made beautiful things together, so it wasn't just all negative. So I'm like, oh, I know these people. I'm cool. I didn't see nobody that I didn't know in the audience. So I'm just being my crazy self. Now I'm acting, so I didn't even know what acting really was until going on the stage and repeating a poem. So I'm repeating a poem. I'm doing my sassing and I did not know a rep for a movie was looking for a young artist or looking for a young child to play a role. So this person seen me perform Maya Angelou's poem and told my stepfather at the time and my mom, hey, we would like to have her audition for a role. And I was honored. So I was just like, okay, it's just a role. Again, this is something new. I love to do, but it's new. So I was like, I'm scared, but I'm going to go out there. And it happened to be a role for Crooklyn. It was the young girl character. And that young girl character, I didn't know until I got there. I didn't know what I had to read was some words that I didn't experience yet as a child. Even though my personal life resembled that movie, so I felt confident to come in there based on that principle. Like my mom was going through the same situation as the mom's character in Crooklyn. I had experience of father figure, like my stepfather, going through those same motions. I had 2 younger brothers that got on my nerves. So I felt like, oh, this fits me. I could go up in there, be myself, and they would love it, right? They did, but it was an element that I wasn't well aware of when it came to expression. And it required me to curse, So for all you guys that know me as Kiana, like, you curse now. I'm like, yeah, I curse now. But you wonder how I learned how to curse? I had to learn the script for Crooklyn. And I didn't get the part because I was so shy to even say dookie. You know, like, you know, certain words on there. I was like, I don't say that. I'm timid already. I'm shy. I don't talk like that. I have a life the way the character girl played to the letter, like even my brothers and my mom. Like, everything that happened in that movie, I experienced in my reality. So I related. I love that relation. I love that I could relate to that. But once I got there and I had to look at the script or look at these pages and read the characters' words, I was taken aback. I was like, I experienced these things, but I didn't have to curse. So how do I tie this in? So even though I didn't get the part, it made me curious about what is this thing called cursing, and why do people curse, and why do people express themselves through cursing? So again, you know, singing and performing, guess what happens when you do things you love? Sometimes you're going to get teased about it. That's one thing. Maybe why we shy away from showing what we love or showing ourselves love outside of ourselves is that we might feel like we can be subjected to being scrutinized based on what we love about ourselves and what we love to express of ourselves outside of ourselves, if that's making sense. So I didn't have anything in my life yet to get me mad until I had to hear my mom tell me that she is sick of HIV. Now, I known this even when I went to public school. That wasn't that to me was just a word. I was like, that just sound like initials, like HIV. It sound like H to the I to the V. That IV, you need IV or something? I don't know. I didn't know. So I had to read what that was and what does that really do. And at the age of 9, that's when I felt really effective in reading. So from 5 to 9, so it took me really about 4 years to really feel confident in reading. So 9 years old, she told me, and I was just like, okay. I read what it does, I read what it affects, and I'm like, okay, this really sucks. This really could be a hindrance to my mom as an individual. This could be a hindrance to an individual in the virtual world. Yet it can be a healing to an individual in a virtuous way too. Because it taught me how to value an individual and the individual's life and their circumstances if my mom was not exposed to this. So again, I read and I seen the effects of what it can do to a person's body, to a person's well-being. And that also can change how they do love themselves too, and how they show that. And I had to see my mom that was very spunk and just spontaneous become a shell of a person, and that really bothered me. But what really hurt was seeing people that she known not love her the way they used to love her until she told people that. Like when she didn't tell people she had HIV, they was like, "Oh, hi girl, what's going on? Hey, what's up, sis? What's good?" Because my mom, being a Leo, she was the life of the party. She was the light of the party. Like, it could be dull, and she found a way to make everybody get along, everybody love each other, everybody love each other as itself, and just get people synchronized and together. Then when she had to be honest, because her body was changing, she had to explain why that is. And when people heard the word, and mind you, she came from the 60s. So I didn't understand what that meant. I said, okay, Mom, what does the 60s got to do with this? And she's like, it's the concept, baby. It's the concept. And I was like, what do you mean by that concept? She's like, well, in the 60s, loving yourself and loving others was not something you just did with yourself. It's something we did openly. We loved each other so openly that we didn't really think about the aftermath of those things, and I didn't understand. And that's when I had to grow older at a young age, because she didn't know how much time she had left. So I was like, okay. So she had to really tell me some real steep stuff, and I was like, okay, what does that mean? She's like, well, self-love to us then was like, you know, I love you, love me, and you know, we shared things together, we shared cups together, we shared sex together. And I was like, what? She's like, yes, we didn't mind sharing each other, you know. And I was like, okay, that should not be a problem. But I didn't know, and mind you, I'm 9, so I had to learn real quick that loving and having sex and needles and all those things, like every generation has a thing that they are going through. So I was like, okay, this happened. So I was like, all right, still, what does that got to do with HIV? She's like, well, we didn't find out to after that, because that was a time or era of self-love or self-expression. And it was not, I guess, again, this is why saying, what do you define as self-love? How do you define how do you, not just define it as a definition, but how do you do it in action, in a physical way? How do you show that? And in the 60s, that was a way. She was born in 69, so that was no way. I didn't realize 69 is the number or the symbol of a Pisces. You know, mom was a Leo. Okay. So that was the aftermath of self-love, or loving others the way you would love yourself. Right? This is an open sense. So the same people that she used to hang out with, when she said, oh yeah, I have HIV, they didn't want to touch her. They didn't want to love her anymore. It was like, the things that I seen my mom be used to getting from people, they didn't want it. They felt scared to touch her. They felt scared to hold her. They felt scared to share a cup from her. It's, oh, I have my own cup. Like people literally made her feel like a walking disease, like a walking virus. I was like, what? And that really shook me. So now, in this waking life, I was like, okay, let's see how does that really enter her. So, until we meet again, guys, what do you feel self-love is, and how do you express that? I know it may sound silly, but guess what? We are walking selves that love anyway. And if you don't know what and how you're loving, then this is where we get sidetracked, become side pieces, become unrequited, become, you know, dismissed, because we're not rooted in what we love about ourselves. Like they say, like we heard universally, how can you love me if you don't love yourself? But the question is, we haven't, in this society, in this world, in the world in general, we haven't been practicing what self-love is. I can tell you what love could be, but living it, that's totally different. And this is my quest to really see through other people's eyes and through other people's soul, what is self-love and how can we actually show that and not be submissive to it, or push it to the side, be passive aggressive about it. Because if we keep being passive aggressive about that, then how do we truly expect to have family, friends, job, children, people, places, and things, even ourselves as a soul, to even look back and say, why should I love you then? Show me why I should love you then. Show me something. So let's show each other something that we love today for 15 minutes. That's a challenge. For 15 minutes, show yourself love. Show it outside of yourself for 15 minutes. Show yourself in a person, place, or thing how you do love yourself. And it could be in writing, it could be in singing, it could be in dancing, it could be just you This you smiling at another person for 15 minutes. Like for the next 15 minutes when I step outside, I'm going to smile at people and I'm going to see what they do back. Will they frown at me? Or will they smile at me? Will they smile back at me? Or will they talk to me? Because your smile is showing something about you. That shows that something you are loving to make you want to smile. Like that beautiful singer. I love your smile. Do, 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 do. Oh, I love your smile. Yeah. Do, 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 do. So, for 15 minutes, outwardly show yourself as love. Let that be smiling, saying hello to someone, just saying hi to people. How's your day? This something to engage another to show your love of self to another. Because you'd be surprised when you smiling at another person, you are helping to lift up who they are. I shouldn't have to date somebody to show them how much I love them. I shouldn't have to have sex with them to show how much I love them. I shouldn't have to show a material way to show how much I love you. Because what they say, some things in life are actually free. Everything else is a bonus. So leave a comment. I'm here on Tuesdays from 12 to 2. I'm going to start implementing more, like broadcasting this more. So by the time Tuesday hit, next week Tuesday, we can get on it. We can start communicating, because I want to bring people here to show what is their way of expressing love. Of expressing love on your mind. Or love, 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 love. Love, what is love, 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 love to you? So thank you for entering the doorway. Thank you for coming to KeyKey's doorway. I love you. I love you so much. I will see you next week, Tuesday, from 12 to 2. Thank you.